The papers hit my kitchen table before I even finished pouring the coffee. "Carol, we need to talk about your living situation," Jessica said, her smile so sweet it could rot teeth. "My living situation, in the house I'd owned for 30 years. I stood there with the coffee pot still in my hand, steam rising between us like a warning I should have seen coming. My son Daniel leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed tight across his chest, studying the floor like it held all the answers he refused to give me. "I don't understand," I said, setting the pot down slowly. My hands were already starting to shake. "What papers are these?" Jessica's manicured nails painted that deep red that always reminded me of warning signs tapped against the documents. Tap, tap, tap. Each sound felt like a countdown. "It's a property transfer," she said, smooth as silk. "We've been talking to a financial advisor, and it just makes sense, you know. For tax purposes. For the future. For Daniel's inheritance." Inheritance. The word tasted bitter. "I'm not dead yet, Jessica." "Of course not," she laughed high and tight. "That's not what I meant. It's just, Carol, you're getting older. This house is too much for you. The maintenance, the stairs, all of it. We're thinking about your well-being." My well-being. Right. I looked past her to Daniel, my boy, the child I'd rocked through nightmares and nursed through fevers, the teenager I'd sat up waiting for, night after night, the man I'd helped through college, through his first heartbreak, through the death of his father. "Daniel," my voice cracked, "is this what you want?" He shifted his weight, cleared his throat, still wouldn't look at me. "Mom, Jessica's right. This house is a lot for you, and we've been thinking. We could use the equity. For our future. For the kids we're planning to have." The kids we're planning to have. Not for your future, Mom. Not to make sure you're taken care of. Their future, their plans, their dreams. And I was just the obstacle in the way. "Where exactly do you think I'm going to live?" I asked quietly. Jessica jumped in before Daniel could answer. She always did. "There are wonderful senior communities around here. Assisted living places with activities and meal plans. You'd have so much less to worry about. No more yard work, no more repairs. And you'd be around people your own age. People my age, like I was already 1 foot in the grave." I pulled out a chair and sat down hard. The table wobbled, it always did, on that one corner where the floor had settled over the years. David had always meant to fix it. But David was gone now, buried out back under the rose bushes he'd planted for our 20th anniversary. The papers stared up at me. Official, legal, final. "Just sign here," Jessica said, sliding a pen across the table. "Gold-plated, expensive. We've already filled everything out. It's all ready to go." My hand reached for the pen. Stopped. Hovered. I could see David's name on the deed through the stack of papers. David Porter. My husband. The man who'd carried me over this threshold 32 years ago, laughing because I'd forgotten to take off my heels and nearly broke his back. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. Daniel finally looked up. "Mom, don't make this harder than it has to be." "Harder than it has to be." I repeated his words slowly, tasting each one. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I didn't realize giving up my home, my life was supposed to be easy." "You're being dramatic," Jessica said, her smile tightening at the edges. "We're family. This is what families do. They help each other. They plan ahead. Families also take care of each other," I said. "Families don't show up on Sunday with eviction papers." "It's not an eviction," Jessica snapped, the mask slipping just a little. "God, you're so stubborn. We're trying to help you. By taking my house. By securing everyone's future." Her voice rose, sharp and bright. "Do you know how much this property is worth? Do you have any idea what Daniel and I could do with this equity? We could finally start our lives. Finally move forward. Finally. Like they'd been stuck. Like I'd been holding them back." I looked at the pen in my trembling hand. Looked at the papers. Looked at my son, who still couldn't meet my eyes. "I need time to think," I said. "There's nothing to think about," Jessica said. "Either you sign now or, well, we can't keep supporting you like this, Carol, emotionally or financially." "Supporting me?" I nearly laughed. I don't take a dime from you. You took money for the roof repair last year, Daniel muttered. That was a loan that I paid back. In full, you cashed the check in March. Silence, thick and suffocating. Jessica stood up, smoothing her designer dress. We'll give you until the end of the week. But Carol, we need an answer. Sign the papers or start packing. Your choice. She said it so casually, so easily, like she was asking me to pick a restaurant for dinner. Daniel followed her to the door, still silent, still refusing to look at me. But I caught it just for a second, the tightness around his mouth, the guilt he was trying so hard to bury. Daniel, I called after him. He stopped, turned halfway. Your father would be ashamed of you. I saw it land, saw him flinch. Then Jessica's hand was on his arm, pulling him away, and they were gone. The door closed with a soft click that echoed through my empty house. I sat there as the afternoon light faded, sat there as the shadows crawled across the kitchen floor, sat there until I couldn't see the papers anymore without turning on a light. That's when I finally looked, really looked. I picked up the documents with shaking hands, flipped through them slowly. There was the property transfer, just like Jessica said, my signature line waiting, empty. But there was more. Pages and pages of legal language I could barely understand. Clauses and subsections, and whereases that made my head spin. And then, buried on page 7, in small print that I had to squint to read, transfer includes all associated assets, accounts, and policies currently held in the name of Carol Ann Porter, including but not limited to life insurance policy, number 4729381. My life insurance policy. The one I'd kept paying into every month, even after David died, even when money was tight. The one with my granddaughter Emma listed as the beneficiary. The one meant to pay for her college, her future, her dreams. $50,000 that I'd sacrificed for, saved for, protected. And they wanted that too. Not just my house, not just my home, not just the memories embedded in every floorboard and wall. Everything. They wanted to erase me completely. I looked up at the darkened kitchen, at the house that held 30 years of my life, and felt something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't about helping me. This wasn't about my well-being or their future or family planning. This was theft, wrapped in smiles and legal papers and words like equity and inheritance. And my son, my own son, was helping her do it. I picked up my phone with trembling fingers. There was one person I could call, one person who'd always told me the truth, even when it hurt. My lawyer's name lit up the screen as I dialed. It rang once, twice. Carol. Her voice was warm, concerned. It's late. Is everything okay? The words tumbled out, broken, desperate, terrified. When I finished, there was a long silence. So long I thought the call had dropped. Then she spoke, and her voice was harder than I'd ever heard it. Carol, listen to me very carefully. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And whatever you do, whatever threats they make, whatever pressure they apply, do not leave that house. Why? I whispered. What's happening? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. Stay put. I'll be there first thing tomorrow morning. She hung up. I sat alone in my dark kitchen, surrounded by 30 years of memories and a stack of papers that wanted to steal them all away. Outside, David's roses rustled in the wind. And somewhere in this house, hidden in files and documents I'd forgotten about, I had the feeling there were more secrets buried. Secrets that Jessica and Daniel didn't know about yet. Secrets that might just save me. She arrived at 7 in the morning with 2 coffees and a look that made my stomach drop. Show me everything, she said, not even waiting for a hello. I led her to the kitchen table where the papers still sat, untouched since last night. She didn't pick them up right away. Instead, she studied them from above, like they were evidence at a crime scene. Maybe they were. Carol, she said slowly, still staring at the documents, has Jessica ever had access to your financial accounts? The question hit me like cold water. What? No, I don't think so. Why would she? She looked up at me then, and her eyes were darker than I'd ever seen them. Because this, she tapped the papers, this isn't just about taking your house. This is about control. Complete control. And women like Jessica don't just wake up one day and decide to steal a house. They build up to it. Build up to it? My voice came out as a whisper. Has anything strange happened with your accounts? Unexpected withdrawals? Checks you don't remember writing? Anything that felt off, even a little? I opened my mouth to say no, to tell her she was being paranoid. But the words stuck in my throat. Because there had been something. Last month. A notification from the bank about a large withdrawal. But when I'd called, they said it was for home repairs, and I'd figured Daniel must have mentioned something I'd forgotten about. I'd been forgetting things lately. Little things. Where I put my keys. Whether I'd taken my medication. Jessica had pointed it out more than once, her voice dripping with concern that now felt like poison. You're getting older, Carol. It's normal. Don't worry about it. Oh God, I breathed. The repairs. What repairs? Last month, there was a withdrawal, $5,000. The bank said it was for home repairs, but I didn't authorize it. I thought maybe I'd forgotten, or that Daniel had arranged something. She was already on her feet. Where do you keep your financial documents? Bank statements? Checkbooks? Everything. I led her to David's old office, the room I barely went into anymore because it still smelled like his cologne and old books and everything I'd lost. The filing cabinet stood in the corner, same as always. My hands shook as I unlocked it. Start with the last 6 months, she said. Bank statements first. I pulled out the folders with trembling fingers. The lamp cast long shadows across the papers as I spread them on David's desk. She moved beside me, her coffee forgotten, eyes scanning every line. There, she said, pointing. March 15th, $4,500. Check number 3,847. I pulled out my checkbook, flipped back through the register. Check 3,847, marked as void in my handwriting. I voided that check, I said. I remember. I made a mistake writing it out for the electric bill, started over with a new one. But someone cashed it. She pulled out her phone, fingers flying across the screen. I'm going to need copies of everything, every statement, every canceled check. Can you access your account online? Yes. Daniel helped me set it up last year. The look she gave me made my blood run cold. Daniel set up your online banking? He said it would be easier, so I could pay bills without going to the bank. Carol. Her voice was gentle but firm. I need you to listen very carefully. Log into your account right now. Change your password. Then we're going to look at every single transaction from the last year. My laptop was in the living room. I booted it up with shaking hands while she stood behind me, a silent presence that felt like the only thing keeping me upright. The login screen appeared. I typed in my username. Then the password Daniel had chosen for me, Emma2018, my granddaughter's name and birth year. Simple, memorable, easy for him to guess. The account loaded, and my world tilted sideways. Withdrawals, dozens of them. Small ones, mostly 100 here, 200 there, easy to miss, easy to dismiss as groceries or bills or the cost of living. But they added up. Oh God, I whispered. Oh God, oh God. Keep scrolling, she said quietly, all the way back. January, February, March. The amount's getting bigger, bolder. April, $5,000, home repairs, roof. May, $3,200, home repairs, plumbing. June, $8,500, home repairs, foundation. I never authorized any of this, I said, my voice breaking. I never. The house is fine. David kept everything perfect. There's nothing wrong with the roof or the plumbing or the... I know. They've been stealing from me. The words felt unreal, impossible. My own son has been stealing from me. She pulled a chair beside me. I need you to stay calm, okay? Can you do that? I nodded, not trusting my voice. We need to pull every canceled check from the last year. The bank can provide copies. But Carol, I need to ask you something, and I need you to think very carefully before you answer. I looked at her. Have you signed anything else recently? Given Daniel or Jessica power of attorney? Updated your will? Anything legal at all? No, nothing. I swear. Good, that's good. She exhaled slowly. Now I need you to go through that filing cabinet. Every folder, every document. Look for anything that feels wrong. Anything you don't remember signing. I turned back to the cabinet, pulling out folders with numb fingers. Tax returns, insurance documents, medical records. The mortgage paid off 3 years ago, David's final gift to me before the cancer took him. And then, at the bottom of the drawer, a folder I didn't recognize. This isn't mine, I said, pulling it out. Inside were copies of checks, made out to various contractors, signed in my handwriting. Except it wasn't my handwriting. Not quite. Home renovations, I read aloud. Check 3,901. $5,000. Check 3,915. 12,000. Check 3,928. My voice died. How much? She asked. I counted, recounted. The numbers swam in front of my eyes. $47,000, I whispered. They've stolen $47,000 from me. She took the folder from my shaking hands, studied each check carefully. These are good, she said quietly. Really good. If I didn't know your signature, I'd never question these. How? I asked. How did they? Practice. Time. Access to your real signature on documents around the house. She looked up at me. Carol, has Jessica ever been alone in this office? I thought back, tried to remember through the fog of shock. Last year, I said slowly, when Daniel had the flu, she came over to bring me soup, said she needed to use the bathroom. Was gone for a while. I thought she was just, I don't know, looking around, being nosy. She was copying your signature. She set the folder down carefully. This is fraud, Carol, elder fraud. It's a felony. Daniel wouldn't, but the words died on my lips. Because he would. He already had. I stood on shaking legs and walked to the mantel. The photos stared back at me, frozen moments of a life I thought I knew. Daniel at 5, gap-toothed and grinning, holding his first fish. Daniel at graduation, cap tilted, David's arm around his shoulders. Daniel's wedding day, Jessica in white, both of them glowing. When had his eyes changed? When had that brightness dimmed into something harder, colder? Or had I just been too much in love with my memories to see what he was becoming? What do I do? I asked the photos. Asked her. Asked the empty room. First, we document everything. Photos of every check, every statement, every withdrawal. Then we file a police report. Police? My voice cracked. That's my son. I know. Her voice was gentle. But Carol, this doesn't stop here. The house papers? That's not the end game. That's just the next step. They're escalating. What do you mean? She was quiet for a long moment. If they get you out of this house, if they isolate you from your assets, from your support system, women like you disappear into nursing homes every day. Places their families put them. Places where no one asks questions when accounts get drained or property gets transferred. The room felt too cold, too small. They wouldn't. Daniel wouldn't let that happen. Daniel is letting it happen now. The truth of it hit me like a physical blow. She stood, gathering the folders. I'm taking these, making copies, filing them somewhere safe. In the meantime, you need to act completely normal. Don't let them know you've discovered anything. How am I supposed to? You're stronger than you think, she said firmly. You've survived grief. You've survived loss. You can survive this. What else do I do? She paused at the door, turned back. Install a camera in your kitchen, something small, hidden, before they come back. A camera? We need evidence of what they say, how they threaten you, all of it. She met my eyes. This is war, Carol, and the first rule of war is, know what your enemy is planning. After she left, I sat in David's office as morning light crept across the floor. $47,000. My son. My own son. I picked up the photo from his wedding day. Studied Jessica's smile, the one I'd thought was joy but now looked like victory. How long had she been planning this? How long had my son been lying to me? And what would they do when I refused to sign? Outside, a car door slammed. I looked out the window. Daniel's truck was parked in my driveway. He was early. And he wasn't alone. They didn't knock. I heard the key in the lock, my key, the spare I'd given Daniel for emergencies, and then they were inside. "Mom," Daniel called out, his voice echoing through the house, "we need to talk." I was still in David's office, the forged checks spread across the desk, like evidence at a trial. My heart hammered against my ribs as I quickly shoved everything back into the folder, slid it into the drawer. Act normal. That's what she'd said. I took a breath, smoothed my hair, walked out to meet them. Jessica was already in the kitchen, opening my cabinets like she owned the place. She pulled out a mug, one of the good ones, the set my mother had given me, and started making coffee. "We brought breakfast," Daniel said, not quite meeting my eyes. He set a bag from the bakery on the counter. "Thought we could all sit down, talk this through like adults." Like adults. Like I was the child who needed to be reasoned with. "I wasn't expecting you," I said carefully. "Yeah, well." Jessica's voice was bright, cheerful, wrong. "We figured the sooner we settle this, the better. For everyone." She slid into a chair at my kitchen table, wrapping her hands around the mug like she belonged there. Like this was already her house. Maybe in her mind it was. Daniel pulled out the papers, those same documents from yesterday, and smoothed them flat on the table. "Mom, we've been thinking," he started, "and we want to make this easier for you, more comfortable." "Comfortable," I repeated. "We found this great place." Jessica jumped in, pulling out her phone. "It's a senior community about 20 minutes from here. They have activities, meal plans, a nurse on staff. You'd love it." She turned the phone toward me. A glossy website filled the screen. Smiling elderly people playing cards. A dining room that looked like a hotel. A price tag that made my stomach turn. "I can't afford that," I said quietly. "Well, no, not right now." Jessica's smile tightened. "But once we sell the house, there'll be plenty of equity. We could set up a trust." "You mean you'd control the money?" The words came out sharper than I intended. Daniel flinched. "Mom, that's not—" "Isn't it?" I looked at my son, really looked at him. "You want me to sign over my house, my life insurance, everything I have, and in return you'll, what? Dole out an allowance? Decide what I can and can't afford?" "You're twisting this," Jessica said, her voice cooling. "We're trying to help you." "By stealing from me?" The silence that followed was deafening. Daniel's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" "The checks," I said, my voice steady now. Stronger. "The home repairs that never happened. The renovations I never authorized. $47,000, Daniel. 47,000. Jessica's expression didn't change, didn't show guilt or surprise or shame. She just took a slow sip of coffee. "Carol," she said, setting the mug down with a soft click. "You're confused. Those repairs did happen. The roof, remember? And the plumbing issue last spring?" "There was no plumbing issue." "Yes, there was. You just don't remember. You forget things now, Carol. It's okay. It happens at your age." The gaslighting was so smooth, so practiced, I almost believed her. Almost. "Show me the invoices," I said. "If these repairs happened, show me the receipts. The contractor's information. Anything." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, I don't think we kept—" "Of course you didn't." I turned to face him fully. "Because they don't exist. Just like those checks don't have my real signature on them." The air in the kitchen changed, went sharp and cold. Jessica stood up slowly. The friendly mask was slipping, and what lay underneath was something harder, meaner. "Careful, Carol," she said softly. "You're making some serious accusations, the kind that could make you look unstable." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm protecting my husband, my family." She moved closer. "You're not well. Everyone can see it. The forgetfulness, the confusion. Maybe you did authorize those repairs and just don't remember. Maybe you're not capable of managing your own affairs anymore. My hands clenched into fists. Get out. We're not going anywhere, Jessica said. Not until you sign those papers. Then I guess we're at an impasse. Daniel finally spoke, his voice strained. Mom, please, just sign. We'll take care of everything. You won't have to worry. I won't have to worry? I laughed, bitter and broken. Daniel, you're stealing from me. You're forging my signature. You're trying to take everything your father and I built, and you want me to just, what? Thank you? Dad's dead. Daniel's voice cracked, loud and angry. Desperate. He's been dead for 3 years, and you're still living in the past, holding on to this house like it means something. Like he's still here. The words hit me like a slap. This house does mean something, I said quietly. It's my home. It's where I raised you, where your father and where you made him miserable. Daniel's eyes were wild now, years of something toxic pouring out, working himself to death to pay for this place, killing himself to give you the life you wanted. And for what? So you could rattle around in here alone, talking to his ghost? Daniel, you were never going to live forever anyway, Mom. The kitchen went silent. Those words hung in the air like poison, like a death sentence. Jessica's face flickered with something satisfaction, maybe, or victory. Daniel, she said softly, her hand on his arm. Let's go. She's not going to listen. But I wasn't looking at her. I was staring at my son, at the stranger wearing his face. Your father loved this house, I whispered. He loved you, and he would be ashamed of what you've become. Daniel's jaw clenched. Don't talk about him. You don't get to. I was his wife. I earned the right to talk about him. What have you earned, Daniel? What have you done except scheme to steal from your own mother? Jessica lunged for the papers, her movements quick and sharp. Fine. You want to play it this way? We'll play it this way. Touch those papers and I'm calling the police, I said. My hand was already on my phone, already dialing. She froze. You wouldn't, she hissed. Try me. We stared at each other across the kitchen table, two women fighting over scraps of paper that represented everything I had left. You have no idea what you're doing, Jessica said, her voice low and dangerous. No idea what you're starting. Then enlighten me. She smiled. Cold, calculated. We have options, Carol. Legal options. We could petition for guardianship, prove you're not mentally competent, have you declared unfit to manage your own affairs. And with your memory problems, your confusion, your inability to remember basic things. I'm recording this, I said quietly. The blood drained from her face. What? I held up my phone. The voice memo app was running, the timer counting up, every word, every threat, all of it captured. My lawyer has copies of everything, I said. The forged checks, the bank statements, the fake repairs, and now she'll have this too. So please, Jessica, keep talking. Tell me more about how you're going to have me declared incompetent. Daniel grabbed his keys. We're leaving. Good idea, I said. Jessica didn't move. She stared at me with pure hatred burning in her eyes. You have no idea what we're capable of, she said softly. What I'm capable of. You think you've won something here? You think your lawyer and your little recording are going to save you? I think you should leave. Now. She leaned in close, her breath hot against my ear. This isn't over, Carol, not even close. And when we're done, you'll beg us to take the house. You'll beg us to put you somewhere safe. Somewhere where you can't hurt yourself. She pulled back, her smile returning. Bright, cheerful, terrifying. See you soon. They left through the front door. I heard Daniel's truck start, heard the tires crunch on the gravel driveway, heard the sound fade into the distance. Then I collapsed into a chair, my whole body shaking. The recording was still running. I stopped it, saved it, immediately forwarded it to my lawyer with trembling fingers. Her reply came back within seconds. Call me. Now. But I couldn't move, couldn't think. You were never going to live forever anyway. My son had said that. My own son. Like he was waiting for me to die. Like my death was just an inconvenience he had to plan around. I looked at the papers still sitting on my table, at the deed with David's name on it, at the life insurance policy information buried in the fine print. This wasn't about the house anymore. This was about making me disappear. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. You're making a mistake, Mom. A big one. Last chance to make this right. I stared at the message, at the thinly veiled threat. Another text. We know about the camera. My blood turned to ice. I looked up at the kitchen, at the small device I'd hidden among the cookbooks on the shelf, the one my lawyer had helped me install yesterday morning. How did they know? How could they possibly? A third text appeared. You should check your front door. My legs felt like water as I walked to the entrance, looked through the peephole. Nothing. I opened the door slowly. And there, on my welcome mat, was a small black device, crushed, broken. My camera. They'd found it, destroyed it, left it there like a message. We're watching. I slammed the door, locked it, stumbled back into the kitchen. My lawyer's number was already ringing before I consciously decided to call. Carol? What happened? They know, I said, my voice breaking. They know about the camera. They know I'm investigating, and they just threatened me in my own house. I'm coming over. Don't let anyone in. Do you hear me? No one. She said. I had to stop, breathe, force the words out. She said I'd beg them to take the house, that I'd beg them to put me somewhere safe. The silence on the other end was heavy. Carol, I need you to listen very carefully. Pack a bag, just essentials, and be ready to leave. Leave? But you said. I know what I said, but this is escalating faster than I thought. They're not just stealing, Carol, they're planning something worse. What could be worse than? I'll explain when I get there. 30 minutes. Can you do that? Yes, I whispered. Good. And Carol, don't go outside, don't answer the door, and for God's sake, don't trust anyone who shows up claiming to help. She hung up. I stood in my kitchen, my home, my sanctuary, my prison, and realized something terrifying. I wasn't safe here anymore. And my son knew exactly where I lived. The knock came before my lawyer did. 3 sharp raps that made my heart jump into my throat. I froze in the bedroom, half-packed bag open on the bed, David's old watch clutched in my hand. Through the window, I could see an unfamiliar car in my driveway. Dark sedan, government plates. Not Daniel's truck. The knocking came again, harder this time. Mrs. Porter? I'm Detective Lisa Chen. I need to speak with you about a fraud investigation. Fraud investigation. My hands shook as I walked to the door, peered through the peephole. A woman in her 40s stood on my porch. Asian features, dark hair pulled back, badge held up to the peephole where I could see it clearly. Behind her, a man in a suit stood by the car, talking on his phone. Mrs. Porter, your lawyer called us this morning. We've been trying to reach you. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. Slowly, I unlocked the door. Opened it just a crack, chain still in place. Id? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. She held it up. Detective Lisa Chen, Financial Crimes Unit. It looked real, but then again, those forged checks had looked real too. Can I come in? This isn't a conversation for the porch. I let her in. Had no choice, really. The man from the car followed, introduced himself as Detective Rodriguez. They both had that look-tired eyes, coffee stains on their sleeves, the weight of too many cases dragging at their shoulders. Mrs. Porter, Detective Chen said gently, settling into my living room chair. Your lawyer forwarded us some concerning documents this morning. Bank statements, forged checks, and a recording from earlier today. Is that legal? I asked. The recording? I didn't tell them I was. Virginia is a one-party consent state. Rodriguez said. As long as you're part of the conversation, you can record it. The recording is admissible. So, what happens now? Chen pulled out a tablet, swiped through screens. We've been looking into your daughter-in-law's background. Jessica Porter, née Larson. Married to your son 3 years ago? Almost 4 now. Did you know she was married before? My stomach dropped. No. She said Daniel was her first. She's been married 3 times, Chen said quietly. First husband was Robert Larson, ended in divorce after 2 years. He filed a restraining order. Second marriage was to a man named Thomas Chen, no relation, who died 6 months after their wedding. Died? How? The detectives exchanged a look. Fall down the stairs, Rodriguez said. His mother contested the death certificate, claimed Jessica had been pressuring Thomas to change his will, but there wasn't enough evidence to pursue charges. The room felt too cold, too small. Third marriage was to James Morrison. He's currently in a memory care facility in North Carolina, early onset dementia, according to the medical records. He's 62 years old. That's young for dementia. Very young, Chen agreed, especially considering his medical history showed no signs of cognitive decline before he married Jessica. But 6 months into the marriage, he started forgetting things. Becoming confused. Within a year, his family had him declared incompetent. And Jessica? Got power of attorney, sold his house, drained his accounts. By the time his sister realized what was happening and got legal intervention, there was nothing left. Jessica had disappeared. I sank onto the couch, my legs giving out. That's what she's doing to me, I whispered. The memory comments, the confusion. She's been gaslighting me, making everyone think I'm losing my mind so she can... We know, Chen said, and it gets worse. How could it possibly get worse? Rodriguez opened a folder, spread photographs across my coffee table. Jessica in different settings, different times, with older men, with women who looked fragile, vulnerable. We've been tracking her for 8 months, he said. Ever since James Morrison's sister filed a complaint. Jessica's done this before, multiple times. She targets people with assets, usually elderly, usually gets access to their finances, then slowly drains everything while making them appear incompetent. But Daniel, my voice cracked, my son wouldn't... Your son is a victim too, Chen said gently. We've seen this pattern. Jessica isolates her targets from their support systems. Sometimes that means elderly parents. Sometimes it means her own spouse. She manipulates, controls, creates dependency. She pulled out another photo. Daniel and Jessica at a restaurant, her hand on his arm, him looking tired and defeated. When did your son change? Chen asked. When did you notice him becoming distant? I thought back, tried to remember through the fog of pain and confusion. After they got married, I said slowly. He used to call me every week, visit for Sunday dinners, but then, gradually, it was less. Then Jessica started coming alone sometimes, saying Daniel was tired or busy. Then they both stopped coming unless they needed something. Classic isolation technique, Rodriguez said. She cut him off from you, made him dependent on her version of reality. And she's probably doing the same to him, controlling his money, his time, his decisions. We need to help him, I said. If she's manipulating him... Right now we need to help you, Chen interrupted, because Mrs. Porter, you're in immediate danger. What do you mean? She pulled out another document. Official looking. Legal. This is a guardianship petition, she said. Filed yesterday morning in circuit court. Jessica Porter is petitioning to have you declared mentally incompetent and to be appointed your legal guardian. The words swam on the page. Mentally incompetent, unable to manage her own affairs, danger to herself. She's moving fast, Rodriguez said. Too fast, which means something spooked her, made her accelerate her timeline. Me? I whispered. I spooked her, when I refused to sign, when I mentioned the lawyer. Exactly, and when predators feel threatened, they become more dangerous. Chen leaned forward. Mrs. Porter, I need you to understand something. If this guardianship goes through even temporarily, Jessica will have control over everything. Your finances, your medical decisions, where you live. She could put you in a facility, drain your accounts, and there would be nothing you could do about it. But I'm not incompetent. I can fight this. You can, but it's not that simple. She pulled out more papers. She's gathered evidence. Statements from your son about your forgetfulness. A letter from a doctor. What doctor? I haven't seen any doctor. Dr. Raymond Chen, a psychiatrist, claims he evaluated you 3 months ago and found signs of early cognitive decline. I've never met any Dr. Chen. This is insane. I know, Chen said gently. It's all fabricated. But on paper, it looks convincing. And if she can get a temporary guardianship order even for a few days, the damage will be done. I stood up, pacing. My home suddenly felt like a cage. What do I do? First, we file a counter petition. We have a psychiatrist standing by who can evaluate you today, provide an independent assessment. Second, we document everything. Every interaction, every threat, every attempt she makes to access your accounts or property. And third, Rodriguez added, we need you to help us build a case against her. Everything you know, every detail, no matter how small. What about Daniel? I asked. If she's manipulating him too. We're working on that, Chen said. But Mrs. Porter, you need to understand. Your son has committed crimes, forgery, elder fraud. Even if he was manipulated into it, he's still legally responsible. He's going to jail? My voice broke on the words. That depends. If he cooperates, if he testifies against Jessica, the DA might offer a deal. Probation, restitution, mandatory therapy. But if he continues to support her, to help her. She didn't finish, didn't have to. The front door burst open. We all jumped, Rodriguez's hand going to his weapon. My lawyer stood in the doorway, breathing hard, her face pale. The hearing, she gasped. It's been moved up. The guardianship hearing. It's scheduled for tomorrow morning. That's impossible, Chen said. We only just found out about the petition. Emergency order. Jessica claimed Carol made threats against herself, said she found evidence of suicidal ideation. The judge granted an expedited hearing. What evidence? I demanded. I never. My lawyer held up her phone, showed me a screenshot of a text message from my number to Daniel. I can't do this anymore. I just want to be with David. I'm so tired. I didn't send that, I whispered. I would never. We know, my lawyer said. But Jessica has access to your phone number. She could have spoofed it, sent it from a fake number that looks like yours. The hearing is at 9 a.m., she continued, which gives us less than 24 hours to prepare. We need character. He slid documents across to the judge. We have statements from her son Daniel Porter attesting to her forgetfulness, a psychiatric evaluation from Dr. Raymond Chen indicating early-stage dementia, and most concerning, a text message sent yesterday suggesting suicidal ideation. The judge studied the papers. Her expression gave nothing away. Mrs. Porter's lawyer, she said. Your response? My lawyer stood, and I'd never seen her look more fierce. Your Honor, this is elder fraud disguised as concern. Jessica Porter has systematically stolen $47,000 from my client through forged checks. She's isolated Mrs. Porter from her support system, and she's fabricated evidence to make my client appear incompetent. She presented her own stack of documents. Dr. Raymond Chen doesn't exist, we've checked with the state medical board. The text message was spoofed from a fake number. And as for the son's statements, she paused. Daniel Porter called his mother last night to warn her about his wife's plans. That call is recorded and available for the court. The judge's eyebrows rose. Recorded how? Mrs. Porter's phone, Your Honor. Legally recorded with her consent as a party to the conversation. I'd like to hear it. My lawyer played the audio. Daniel's strained voice filled the courtroom. Mom, you need to listen to me. Jessica. She's planning something. Tonight, I overheard her on the phone with someone, talking about, God, Mom, you need to get out of there. Jessica's face went white, then red. She leaned over to whisper frantically to her lawyer. Your Honor, the lawyer said smoothly, that recording is out of context. Daniel Porter has been under tremendous stress, dealing with his mother's declining mental state. He's confused, emotional. He sounded pretty clear to me, Judge Morrison said dryly. Continue, counsel. My lawyer called Detective Chen to the stand. Chen laid it all out, Jessica's history, the 3 previous marriages, the pattern of elder fraud, James Morrison in his memory care facility, Thomas Chen dead at the bottom of the stairs. We've been investigating Mrs. Jessica Porter for 8 months, Chen testified. She has a documented history of targeting vulnerable individuals, gaining control of their assets, and systematically draining their accounts while making them appear mentally incompetent. Objection, Jessica's lawyer said. None of this has been proven. These are allegations. Allegations backed by evidence, Chen interrupted. Forged checks with Mrs. Carol Porter's signature, bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals, and a guardianship petition filed within hours of Mrs. Porter refusing to sign over her house. The judge looked at Jessica, really looked at her. Mrs. Jessica Porter, you filed this emergency petition claiming immediate danger. What specific incident prompted that? Jessica stood, her voice trembling. She was good, really good. Your Honor, Carol called me yesterday. She was crying, saying she couldn't go on without David, her late husband. She said she wanted to join him. I was terrified she'd hurt herself. And yet, the judge said slowly, according to phone records, you made no such call. In fact, the only calls between you and Mrs. Porter yesterday were ones she initiated. Jessica faltered. It might have been the day before. I'm confused about the timeline. You're confused? The judge's voice went sharp. You're 34 years old, Mrs. Porter? Mrs.? Carol Porter is 72, allegedly suffering from dementia, and she seems to have a clearer memory than you do. The courtroom went silent. Your Honor, my lawyer said, we'd like to call Carol Porter to the stand. My legs felt like water as I stood. Walked to the witness box, placed my hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. My lawyer smiled gently. Mrs. Porter, can you tell the court about your relationship with your daughter-in-law? I took a breath, looked at Jessica, then at the judge. I tried to love her, I said quietly. When Daniel brought her home, I tried so hard to welcome her into our family. But she never wanted a family. She wanted assets. Can you elaborate? It started small. Comments about the house being too big for me. Suggestions about moving somewhere easier. Then she started coming over when I wasn't home. Daniel had a key. I'd find things moved, documents out of place, bills I didn't remember receiving. Did you authorize any home repairs in the last year? No, the house is fine. My late husband kept everything perfect. But Jessica had checks made out for repairs that never happened. With my signature. Except it wasn't my signature. How do you know? I pulled out a paper from my bag. This is a letter I wrote to my granddaughter 3 weeks ago. This is my real signature. I held up one of the forged checks. And this is the forgery. Look at the P in Porter. I loop it twice. The forgery only loops once. And the C, in Carol, I always add a small flourish at the bottom. The forgery doesn't have it. The judge took both documents, studied them carefully. Mrs. Porter, she said, do you know what year it is? 2025. October 27th, Monday. Who is the current president? Donald Trump, unfortunately. A ripple of surprised laughter went through the courtroom. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Nothing. I was too nervous to eat. But Detective Chen brought me coffee around 7, and your bailiff offered me water when I arrived. The judge made notes. You seem quite lucid, Mrs. Porter. I am lucid, Your Honor. I'm not confused. I'm not delusional. I'm being systematically robbed and gaslit by a woman who's done this before and will do it again if someone doesn't stop her. Jessica's lawyer stood. Your Honor, may I cross-examine? Please. He approached me with a sympathetic smile that made my skin crawl. Mrs. Porter, you've been under a lot of stress lately, haven't you? Yes, because someone is trying to steal my house. And when people are stressed, they sometimes forget things, make mistakes. I haven't forgotten anything. And the only mistake I made was trusting that woman. But you admit you've been forgetful. Your son has documented. My son was manipulated into saying things that aren't true, just like she manipulated him into helping her steal from me. That's a serious accusation against your own son. Yes, I said, my voice breaking. It is, and it breaks my heart, but it's the truth. Mrs. Porter, isn't it possible that you did authorize these repairs and simply don't remember? No. How can you be so certain? I looked at the judge, at the courtroom, at Jessica with her fake tears and designer dress. Because I'm not the one who's confused here, I said. I know exactly what's happening, and I know what happened to James Morrison and Thomas Chen and probably others we haven't found yet. I know that my daughter-in-law is a predator who targets elderly people, drains their assets, and moves on to the next victim. And I know that if you give her guardianship over me, I'll end up in a facility somewhere, drugged and confused, while she sells my house and empties my accounts and tells everyone how sad it is that I declined so quickly. Your Honor, Jessica's lawyer said tightly, this is clearly paranoid. It's clearly accurate, Detective Chen called out from her seat. The judge banged her gavel. Order. Mr. Westbrook, do you have any actual questions for the witness? No, Your Honor. Then step back. Mrs. Porter, you may return to your seat. My legs shook as I walked back to my table. My lawyer squeezed my hand. The judge reviewed her notes for what felt like an eternity. Finally, she spoke. I'm denying the emergency guardianship petition. Jessica gasped. Her lawyer shot to his feet. Your Honor, the evidence clearly shows. The evidence clearly shows a pattern of financial exploitation, not mental incompetence, Judge Morrison said sharply. Mrs. Carol Porter is lucid, articulate, and has a better understanding of her situation than the petitioner gives her credit for. Furthermore, I'm troubled by the fabricated psychiatric evaluation and the suspicious timing of this petition. She turned to Detective Chen. Detective, are there ongoing criminal investigations related to this matter? Yes, Your Honor. Multiple investigations into financial fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. Then this court will take no action that might interfere with those investigations. Mrs. Carol Porter, you retain full control of your affairs, Mrs. Jessica Porter. The judge's eyes went cold. I suggest you retain a good criminal defense attorney. Court is adjourned. The gavel struck. Jessica's face twisted with pure rage. She stood so fast her chair fell backward. This isn't over, she hissed at me. You think you've won? You have no idea what's coming. That sounded like a threat, Detective Chen said, already moving toward her. Mrs. Jessica Porter, I'm placing you under arrest for suspicion of elder fraud, forgery, and attempted financial exploitation. The handcuffs clicked around Jessica's wrists. She screamed, thrashed, called me names that made the bailiff wince. Where's Daniel? I asked Chen quietly. Where's my son? He's safe, she said. He turned himself in this morning. He's cooperating with our investigation. Can I see him? She hesitated. Carol, he's not ready. He's agreed to testify against Jessica, but he's not in a good place right now. He needs time. I nodded, tried to swallow past the lump in my throat. But there's something you should see, Chen said. She pulled out a folder. We searched Jessica's apartment this morning, found this. Inside was a life insurance policy. On Daniel. $2 million. Jessica, as the sole beneficiary. Dated from 2 months ago. Oh God, I whispered. She was going to. We don't know for sure, but given her history, we got Daniel out in time. That's what matters. The courtroom was emptying. Jessica was being led away, still screaming threats. My lawyer put her arm around me. Come on, let's get you home. Home. 3 months later, I stood in my kitchen making coffee. Real coffee, from the expensive beans David used to love. The house was quiet, peaceful. Jessica was awaiting trial. 8 counts of fraud, forgery, and attempted elder abuse across 3 states. James Morrison's family had come forward, so had 2 others we hadn't known about. She'd probably spend the next decade in prison. Daniel was in therapy, living in a small apartment across town. He called sometimes, his voice small and broken, asking questions he wasn't ready to hear the answers to. How did I let her do this? How did I become this person? I didn't know what to tell him, didn't know if I could ever fully forgive him. But I answered when he called. That was something. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw a young woman with dark hair and Emma's eyes. My granddaughter, home from college for Thanksgiving break. I opened the door, and she threw her arms around me. "Grandma, I heard about everything. Are you okay? Are you safe?" "I'm safe," I said, holding her tight. "I'm home." That afternoon, we sat in the garden where David was buried. Emma helped me plant new rose bushes, red ones, his favorite. "Mom says I shouldn't ask," Emma said carefully. "But are you really okay after everything?" I looked at my home, my sanctuary, the life I'd almost lost. "No," I said honestly. "I'm not okay. My son tried to steal from me. A woman I welcomed into my family tried to erase me, and I'll probably never fully trust people the same way again." "That's awful, Grandma." "Yes, but it's also freeing." I patted her hand. "I learned something through all this, Emma. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive betrayal, that I can fight back." "You saved yourself," she said softly. "I saved myself," I agreed. "And now I'm saving this house for you, for your future, your dreams, the way your grandfather wanted." I pulled out a document. "I've set up an irrevocable trust. The house goes to you when I'm gone. No one else can touch it. Not Daniel, not anyone." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Grandma, I don't care about the house." "I know. That's why you get it." I smiled. "Because you love me, not what I own. That's the difference." My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "Can we talk? Please?" I stared at it, felt the familiar ache in my chest. "You don't have to," Emma said, reading my expression. "I know. But maybe someday I will. When he's ready. When I'm ready." I set the phone down. "But today? Today I'm going to sit in my garden with my granddaughter and plant roses and drink coffee and be grateful that I'm here, that I fought, that I won." "You did win," Emma said. "Yes," I agreed. "I did." The sun was setting over my backyard. David's roses were blooming. My coffee was strong and perfect. And I was home, right where I belonged, where no one, not even my own son, could ever take me from again. Epilogue. 6 months after the trial, I received a letter. From Jessica. From prison. My lawyer advised me not to open it. Detective Chen said it was probably manipulation. Emma said to burn it. But I opened it anyway. "Dear Carol, you think you won. You think you're safe. But you're just an old woman living alone in a big house. And someday, when no one's watching, when your precious granddaughter is at college and your son has finally given up trying to make amends, you'll be alone again. And I'll be out. Enjoy your house while you have it. J." I read it twice. Then I carried it to the fireplace. Watched it burn. Because here's what Jessica never understood. I'm not afraid anymore. I survived her. I survived my son's betrayal. I survived the system that almost failed me. And I would survive whatever came next. Because this house, these walls, this life, they're mine. And I earned every single inch of them.